We're in Hamburg, Germany for round 12 of the 2006 ITU World Cup Series, a city now famous for hosting thousands of the world's most devoted soccer fans earlier this year. But today it's the sport of triathlon that takes center stage, with the elite men's race about to get underway in front of an estimated crowd of over 250,000 enthusiastic fans, all eagerly awaiting one of the most competitive fields we've seen this season. Germany's hopes rest on the young shoulders of Jan Frodeno, who's had a breakthrough season so far with 3 podium finishes already. But this one would be special in front of a hometown crowd.
I guess it's kind of anger management, you know. You really want to go in there and you have the feeling in your stomach that you just want to burn this weekend. And I had unfortunately the same experience last year coming to Beijing, but it worked out really good for me, and I have to say, coming here, it's a home race, it's a flat course, suits me really well. I'm really hyped for this weekend. It just seems that that everybody wants to talk to you and wants to be there, and also expects great things, obviously. But I really find it motivating, you know. It's just people around me that are cheering me on, that are looking, you know, to see me come out on top, which is what I'll hopefully do this weekend.
Disappointment plagued world number 1 Brad Caulfield at the Worlds this year as a crash on the bike took him out of contention and out of the championship race. But he's back with a vengeance and once again ready to win.
After last week, it was a little bit disappointing. I just missed that break on the bike. I was up towards the front, but I just got the wrong wheel going up the climb and basically got boxed in. Just couldn't get out with Peter Robinson, so that's the way racing is. You've got to position yourself on the outside, I guess. And you know, going out to that run leg in Lausanne, I just had stomach problems, so I decided to pull out. I mean, it's always fairly technical in Hamburg. You sort of have to position yourself, you know, towards the front on the bike. Yeah, look, it's going to probably be a big pack maybe on the bike, and it's going to be very fast like it usually is, and it's going to hopefully come down to a very fast run leg. You know, the times in the past in Hamburg have been very fast, you know, sort of just under 30 minutes or just over, so I'm looking for a fast run.
Another athlete on the rise is Chris Gemmel, who already has 1 victory under his belt this season and 3 fourth-place finishes on tour, including at the last event, the World Champs in Lausanne.
The big thing for me this year was Operation Beijing. I'm doing a bit of a test. I talked about it before Cornerbrook, and you know, Worlds wasn't a high priority for me. I knew I was going to race well. I was in good form, the course suited me, and I was coming directly from altitude. But the big race for me is in 3 weeks' time, and that's when I'll get my speed back, and that's when we're in Beijing. This race here was part of my plan in the sense that I come down from altitude and I race, and then I just have 5 days off to recover from the race and the altitude, and then I see what I get out of it. Last year I did the same thing with Hamburg, finished 6th there, and then went to Hungary and was 4th there in a running race. So I want to see if I get the same result. I mean, I'm a little bit tired after Worlds, but again, I haven't done anything since Worlds. I've just sort of been looking after myself, and you know, the form's there, so there's no reason why I shouldn't race well.
Before we get to the men's race, let's have a quick reminder of the course map once again. First up, athletes will tackle a 2-lap, 1,500-meter swim in Lake Ulster in the heart of Hamburg, where water temps have mandated a wetsuit swim. Following the swim course, we'll take the athletes over a flat, fast 8-lap bike course covering 40 kilometers through downtown Hamburg, including many tight corners and narrow passageways, all lined with thousands of screaming fans. And finally, the race will culminate in a 4-lap, 10-kilometer run on city streets, also featuring the ever-present backdrop of thousands of fans, a unique feature that makes this course one of the favorites. Athletes today are keen to test the waters of this Hamburg course because it will host next year's World Championships, the biggest event of the season. So while the athletes prepare for this big test, let's take a look at a few names to watch. Those include world number 1 Caulfield, along with top-ranked Hunter Kemper, while Germany's top-ranked man in the field is Daniel Unger.
Well, the only thing tougher than getting a ticket to one of the old Beatles concerts here in Hamburg is getting a spot on that pontoon. We had 30+ men on a waiting list trying to get started here. You can see just how the sport has continued to grow. Its proximity as well to the World Championships just a week after, many men staying in Europe hoping to get a start, and I think you're going to see once again all eyes on another American swimmer here is Andy Potts, who has led out of the water so many times. He told me in pre-interviews that he's having some of the fastest swims in many, many years, even dating back to his time as being an exclusive swimmer at Michigan, where that man was doing times like 4 minutes and 10, 4:12 from a push start for a 400-meter freestyle. So Andy Potts right now pushing the pace here early on, but with wetsuits being worn, you have to believe a number of athletes will be a little closer to him than he would like. Certainly one of the men who do not need a wetsuit is Stéphane Poulat from France, who is a world-class swimmer as well. And the men you can see coming underneath the bridge, the spectators will be on top of that bridge looking down on them. This is the larger rectangular section first. That'll be about 1,000 meters in total. And as they come underneath the bridge out into the sunlight once again, you can see a group of about 15 men trying to bridge on. Frédéric Belot back in about 4th or 5th spot. The Canadian Colin Jenkins into that group. He is certainly one of the new names to look out for on the swim bike portions of these World Cup races. And look how close the spectators are able to get to these men. Just imagine at next year's World Championships. And you can see Andy Potts coming now at the end of leg one. He'll come up the stairs, make a hard right-hand turn and go directly back into the water. And as they come through right now, Frédéric Belot, Stéphane Poulat out of that group, Marco Albert just coming up and out of the water right there, Richard Stannard as well, back into the water. We've got 80 plus men. That's a huge number of bodies to be in such a small confined area. And Andy Potts continuing to push the pace. If he keeps this up, he'll be just over 16.5 minutes for his 1,500 meter swim. Well, one of the veterans who consistently gets the job done, we saw him again at the World Championships, and that's the talented Ukraine, Vladimir Polikarpenko. He's back in about 7th or 8th spot, so very nicely tucked in there for the man who keeps getting the job done. The big, powerful Andy Potts right now trying to pull away, but it would be his benefit if he could get 2 or 3 athletes to go with him on this course. Peter Robertson and Brad Caulfield were back in about 35th or 38th spot. Hunter Kemper, the talented teammate of Andy Potts, back in about 15th. And there's the crowd that we saw last time through, only this time up the stairs and into the transition zone. And Andy Potts 16:40 plus. So a very fast time as Frédéric Belot, Stéphane Poulat out of the water. Marco Albert just coming up the stairs right there. Axel Ziebrich from Belgium. Colin Jenkins from Canada. And as we take a look right there, it is Poulat and Potts. They've raced each other many times. Frédéric Belot, Colin Jenkins as well. And Andy Potts just to the top of the screen, getting ready to put the helmet on, take off the wetsuit, and make that fast transition that this man has become renowned for. It's the BG 2006 Hamburg World Cup Men's Triathlon, just a week after the World Championships. You can see Javier Gomez, the talented Spanish man there at the bottom of the screen, putting on his helmet. The chase athletes with Brad Caulfield coming out of the water. And as our leaders go out onto the bike course, the talented Caulfield is going to have to make up some time. Bruno Paez just there as well. The bottom of the screen, that is Hunter Kemper, who he himself is going to have to make up some time. He said that it's going to take a risk to get a big job done. Well, we'll see if Hunter Kemper is able to make that risk here in Hamburg. Daniel Unger, Frodano just putting on helmets, so the German athletes getting ready to head out right there. And it'll be an 8-lap, 40-kilometer ride, 9 corners on each of the 8 laps, so a large number of laps in total. Big Matt Reed just going through the screen right there. Ivan Vasilyev as well as we take a look.
American Andy Potts led the field out of the swim in his traditional fashion, followed by Frenchman Stéphane Poulat. Frédéric Belot was also out in the lead group along with Polikarpenko from the Ukraine.
Well, Andy Potts in the lead right now has the perfect situation if this can materialize over the next 30 or 40 seconds. That is Frédéric Belot and Stéphane Poulat from France, the 2 French athletes and the 1 US. And if that trio of 3 are able to make some noise, they may just be able to get away from this chase pack. But the Germans have been renowned to be relentless on this course. And as we take a look here, our 3 athletes right now are coming back towards the end of lap number 1. We'll see if, no, they really do not have a sizable gap. They're going to have to put their head down and really stay committed as the chase group only back by about 9 seconds. Poulat from France, You can see the tattoos on his shoulder. Andy Potts just behind him. And as the French athletes come through right now, you can start to see the chase group of athletes coming in and across the carpet. That'll include Javier Gomez. And now it looks like our group of 3 are going to be brought back to this main chase group. It'll be a group of about 25 or 27 right now. We've seen this in the past on this Hamburg course. The talent between all of the top men so close on the swim and bike that it really takes something special to get away on a course. That's Poulat from France right there, just coming in towards the screen. Behind him I can see Axel Ziebrich trying to be in the right position, Bevan Doherty, Hunter Kemper, and there's Brad Caulfield. So the #1 ranked man in the world has got himself back up to this lead group here early on. The German athletes working very hard as they come through. Canadian Paul Tischler just going through there in the red, the man who was 8th at the Commonwealth Games for Canada. A large group when we take a look at that aerial shot, maybe 24, 25 athletes. And we'll see if anyone's committed to putting their head down and trying to make the break here. As they come through the end of lap number 2, it is Stéphane Poulat from France claiming another bike preem, and this man has done this many times in the past. This carpet, a little bit of a danger zone, and we have seen athletes go down in the past, so they're paying a little bit of extra special attention, and that's when the athletes start to get in one long chain. If there is a breakaway, it's the best time to do it. Look at Poulat. He is absolutely frustrated trying to get some of the others to come up and help, he and Andy Potts. And right now, Poulat very frustrated because he knows there's some great runners coming up from behind, and it's certainly to his benefit to keep this pace relentless and not allow some of the runners to come up from behind. But Brad Caulfield, Peter Robertson now already establishing themselves into this lead group. We're just coming back towards where the swim area was, and we have an athlete starting to make the break off the front. It looks like it might be Axel Ziebrich from Belgium. He has done this many times in the past. We've also seen Chris Gimmel making those kinds of breakaways. One of our favorite buddies, Mark Freda, been out for about the last 6 weeks with a broken collarbone, so our best wishes to the U.S. athlete who's had so many great performances on the 2006 season. Late in the day here in Hamburg, you can see by the clock here in the middle of the city square, and it is showing a great host, Hamburg, to some of the best men in the world, as Axel Ziebrich from Belgium now head down, and the very talented cyclist starting to pull away. We saw he and Peter Kroos along with Chris Gimmel do that at the World Cup race in Corner Brook. And now look at the length of this chain. About 45 or 48 athletes now into this main chase group. The only major players include Rito Hugh and Kyle Jones, who haven't made the bunch. Great shot of Axel Ziebrich. He looks over his shoulder to see if anybody is on their way to help him. It would certainly be to his benefit to get 1 or 2 other athletes. And we do look like we've maybe got a small group of about 4 or 5 that might be committed to making the break here. They start to come in and around. I think one of the French athletes into there, Colin Jenkins from Canada in the red. Ziebrich into that bunch as well. And if they're able to get a little bit of a commitment now, Stuart Hayes, I think, is in a part of that breakaway, and it might in fact be one of the Kiwis in the form of Bevan Doherty, and that was a little bit of a dangerous move by that cyclist as he's trying to make another move coming in around these tight corners. Looking over the shoulders right now to see if anybody is coming, and each one of these breakaways are continuing to be matched up. And a couple of the men who've been just putting themselves into a good position for the run include Caulfield and Javier Gomez. That looks like Stuart Hayes. I think it is Stuart Hayes and Dirk Bockel. So Dirk Bockel and Stuart Hayes from Great Britain in the lead, and these 2 men now are taking their turn to see if they're able to make something happen out of a very technical bike course. Both of these men have been a part of breakaways in the past. Stuart Hayes doing it at the World Cup race in Salford just a few weeks ago, so he had the extra motivation of the hometown crowd. And we're taking a look as our chase athletes are starting to come through right now, and they are getting A little bit of an opportunity in this large group to take on some extra energy in this last stages. One of our Swiss athletes playing up to the crowd here as he goes through. Our Mexican athletes just going through there as well. And as we start to pan back to the crowd, you can see what a large number of athletes in that chase group. Dirk Bockel, Stuart Hayes, both looking over their shoulder, and here comes Jenkins, and that is Bevan Docherty. So that is a powerful group of 4 men if they're able to start to make some noise. Bevan Docherty, the man who had a little bit of an injury leading into the World Championships. He had an infection in his thigh, and that expanded to about 50% larger than his normal thigh, and unfortunately he didn't get to finish the World Championships, but he is a past world champion from Madeira. He is a silver medalist at the Olympic Games, and the man has continued to impress with a World Cup win already this year in Mooloolaba. Well, another time for Axel Ziebrich to see if he can get away and stay away. The Belgian taking the second of the bike preems. We're now into the final 5 kilometers. And a lot of energy and effort's been put out there as this big group continues to be together. Hunter Kemper. I can see Matt Reed into that group as well. The Germans well established with Mickey Petzold, Daniel Unger, and Frodeno. And you can see this is one massive pack now of men. Over 50 men in this group right now. About a dozen have already dropped out. A little bit of a problem earlier on today for Philip Ospoli, who he was not having the day he needed, and Simon Thompson out with a little bit of a problem in the swim. I think he might have been taken a arm or a leg in the side of the head, and Simon Thompson, the great Olympian from Australia, taken out during the swim. Well, they're coming off the bikes, and the Germans are well established right there. Petzold thrilling the local crowd. Unger coming up from behind for Dano as well, but now the big names. Peter Robertson, Brad Caulfield, Javier Gomez. Can these men, the fleet of foot, get the job done now on this 4-lap, very flat 10-kilometer run course? As they're heading out onto the course, it's Petzold, but just behind him in the light blue, that'll be Brad Caulfield, looking for his 5th World Cup win in 2006. He's already got 4 wins, and no man has done that for a very long time.
Hunter Kemper found himself in prime position coming off of the bike, but he wasn't alone with a slew of other top runners hot on his heels, including 2 of Germany's best in Petzold and Jan Frodeno.
Well, look at these guys push. It's Peter Robertson to the right. Frodeno just about down, looking over his shoulder. And that is a tough situation. 8 or 9 men running side by side. You're likely to get a clipped heel, and Frodeno just about down. Peter Robertson, the 3-time world champion, into that lead group, and just coming up to the right side, taking the lead, is Will Clark, the 23 and under world champion, just claimed a week ago. And Will Clark from Great Britain, who was a bronze medalist at the Sulphur World Cup race, in a great position as we take a look back at men's 7 and 8. That's Vladimir Porlokopinko into that bunch, Sven Riederer, Andy Potts trying to bridge back up into that group, and he is a very gutsy man who continues to push. Petzold, Gimmel, and Will Clark, and now it's Chris Gimmel's time to push in the lead. Gimmel almost adding an extra 40 or 50 kilometers a week in his running to try to make things happen, but look at this man start to run away. It is Gomez just absolutely exploding away from that group of 8 or 9 men. It's now down to 4. In second was Sven Riederer, just behind him Bevan Docherty. But Javier Gomez has opened up a massive effort here. Second of the World Cup race in Aqaba earlier this year, the winner of the World Cup race in Madrid. He was 3rd in Cornerbrook, and the guy who was top 10 at the World Championships, an absolute talent, a former 23 and under world champion, and they are all now chasing him down. Sven Riederer in the red and white right there from Switzerland, a Olympic Games bronze medalist, doing his best to try to pull along Brad Caulfield and Bevan Docherty, and they're all trying to track down Javier Gomez, who is absolutely nowhere to be found. Look at the massive gap he has already opened up. What a great aerial shot looking down on the streets of Hamburg as Javier Gomez comes back in front of a very appreciative crowd. And look at, they are 10 deep here through the grandstands, through the bike area. He'll go back out onto that 2.5 kilometer run, and he is absolutely running a sub 30 minute 10 kilometer run right here, bona fide. This might be the best run that Javier Gomez has ever put in, and he's had a few great ones in his career. Second and third will be Sven Riederer in red, Brad Kahlfeldt in light blue, and just over his shoulder, Bevan Docherty, the Olympic Games silver medalist, trying to get himself back up into a podium position. But this man is absolutely giving no mercy, and Javier Gomez continuing to look like this is just an easy little run. We're looking right now Hunter Kemper, Mickey Petzold, Daniel Unger, Clark from Great Britain into that bunch, and Andy Potts trying to push the pace as well. Across the street they'll see their competition. And look at just how smooth Brad Kahlfeldt is running next to the man who really puts out an effort, and that's Sven Riederer, third at the Olympic Games, third in Madrid in 2005. He was sixth at the World Cup race this year. Disappointed, I think, in his World Championships. So much pressure on him racing at home in Switzerland, where he was trying to get on the podium for the crowd, but Gomez high-fiving one of his Italian colleagues. Both these men raced in the European Championships, and you have to believe that after taking a year off with some health injuries, this man is back with a vengeance. A World Cup win in Madrid, a bronze medal in Corner Brook, and a fiery run for Javier Gomez, who's going to claim his second victory of the year with a sub 30 minute 10 kilometer run. And now the sprint to the finish. Sven Riederer, last year he was in this sprint finish with Rito Hug and Philip Ospoli taking third. Well, today he is going to have the sprint, as Sven Riederer, coming in front of the crowd, will come in for the silver medal performance. Brad Kahlfeldt will be third and stay number one in the rankings. Riederer from Switzerland, silver. Kahlfeldt from Australia, the bronze medalist. Here comes Bevan Docherty for fourth place. Andy Potts for fifth. Hunter Kemper for sixth. What a phenomenal finish. It is just one man after the other. You can see Polika Pinko crossing line, but the day belonged to Javier Gomez.
It was a very good day for me, especially on the run course. I could run very, very fast. I think it was the fastest run of my life. And finally, I could win my second World Cup this year, so I'm so happy. A not very good transition for me, the second one. I left the bike on the back of the group, and I have to go very, very fast to get the top with Brad Kahlfeldt and other guys. And then I was 1 or 2 Ks with them, but I felt very good, and I've decided to push as hard as I can. Everything was finally good.
It was a fantastic day for me. I had a very bad race last weekend on the Worlds. My goal was to go on the podium on the Worlds, but I had a lot of problems, and now I'm back. It was a perfect race, and I'm very happy to come on the podium. I feel quite stronger than Brad in the run, and I think I had a very good sprint finish all the time, and I have concentrated on this, and then I pushed very hard 200 meters at the end, and Brad can't follow. I'm very happy to beat them.
It was a really fast run today, really fast. I think it was under 30 minutes, so for him to win it like he did was fantastic. And all credit to Sven as well. I tried to get rid of him probably 5 or 6 times. I kept surging on him. I just wanted the podium today just to build my points up for the world ranking. So I'm just happy I got on the podium. The season's quite long, and I'm really looking forward to a break soon. But to get another podium, I'm very happy.
Taking a look at the official final results, we see Gomez, Riederer, and Kahlfeldt in the top 3 spots, with Olympic silver medalist Docherty in 4th, just ahead of the 2 top Americans, while Germany's top men was Mickey Petzold in 9th spot. Now looking back at the women's event, top American Laura Bennett was back on the podium after some time away, proving she'll be one to watch next year at Worlds. While Debbie Tanner continues her rise to the top with another podium placing to go along with her first earlier this season. But the victory once again went to 20-year-old sensation Vanessa Fernandez, who is well on her way to matching Emma Carney's 12 in a row feat at the next event just weeks away. Taking a look at the women's rankings, Fernandez still holds down the top spot with Germany's Joelle Franzmann in second, while Canadian champ Lauren Groves continues to hang on in third despite finishing outside the top 10. On the men's side, world number 1 Brad Caulfield was back on the podium today with the bronze medal, redeeming himself after crashing out at the World Champs in Lausanne. While Sven Riederer marked a return to his winning ways and the podium, moving up a step this year into the silver medal spot. But at the end of the day, it was the brilliant running speed of Spain's Javier Gomez that stole the show and put him right up there as a favorite coming into next year's World Champs on this same course. And looking at the rankings, a bronze today moves Caulfield into sole possession at the top, ahead of Hunter Kemper, who slips back to second, while a second victory this season pulls Gomez up into third overall. And that wraps up another beautiful day of racing here in Hamburg, Germany, the host city of the 2007 World Champs. Next up, the tour moves across the globe to Beijing, China for round 13. Be sure to tune in then.